What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we have another DNML. What's to be expected, right? But all jokes aside, this is a 2019 Select Series ML. This is like a really high-spec import guitar from Dean Guitars. You got the nice quilt maple veneer, you got nice Seymour Duncan humbuckers, a Floyd Rose 1000 series, I believe. Looks like an ebony fingerboard, big block inlays, binding all around. Specs out really nice, and it looks like a really awesome guitar. And it's made in Indonesia as well. And you guys might be familiar with my opinions on the 2006-ish and the early 2000s, pre-2010 Dean import MLs, and especially the Dimebucker series. Those ones are pretty stellar, and anything after that, I've usually said that they're just okay. So what I want to do, especially for how nice this guitar is and how well spec'd out it is, it also has a V-shaped neck, very important. With all those things bearing in mind, I am very curious to see how this guitar fares up compared to something older like a 2006 ML from my own personal playing experience. This is actually the newest Dean ML that I've had on my channel in terms of production year, so I'm actually very excited to see how it stacks up to the newer Dean MLs I've played, maybe like the 2014s, and some of the older ones as well. And the other things that we're going to cover in this video are just a simple pickup swap and maybe a couple electronic mods, and general tips and tricks on how to set up your guitar with a Floyd Rose. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Alright, so we have the Dean ML Select series here, one of the higher end current offerings from Dean in the ML shape. All done up here, Dimebucker in the bridge, tone knob deleted. We got the action real nice and low here, and just as an overall fit and finish here, this guitar does feel lighter than the Chinese 2006 Dean from Hell that I am currently working on, and it does feel a little lighter than my Shadow that I had, but it does feel pretty solid still. And just to compare it to maybe some of the mid-2000s, like the 2014s and stuff, and the 2012s that I've played, this definitely feels better than those. Those ones felt either too light, especially for as big as a guitar shape as this is, or they just felt a little clunky, like it was in your way, and which might sound a little obvious for how big the guitar is, but this one, and like my USA Dean that I have, and the other USAs I've played, and even the earlier Korean and Chinese Dean MLs that I've played, those feel really solid, and they don't feel like they're really in your way when you're trying to play them, which is very important. So yeah, it really feels like Dean stepped up the quality between that 2014 year and maybe the 2019, 2020 years. Yeah, this is a really good representation anyways of what their current offerings are, especially with the V-shaped neck that it also has a satin feel on the back, so it's a satin finish, then the rest of the guitar is gloss. That actually makes for a nicer feel as well, so your hands aren't going to get all stuck when you're trying to rip up and down the fretboard on this thing. It's really spec'd out really nice, and I think I might be having a bit of a change of heart on some of these newer Deans. So let's plug it in and let's just see how it sounds, and then I'll let you know my thoughts and opinions at the end of this. going to do it for today's video. Once again, this is the 2019 Dean Select Series ML. This is one of their higher end offerings from their import line. Honestly, I think I was a little bit wrong with my assumption of writing off all of these newer Deans as not being as great as the old 2006s to 2010 eras, you know, or even just the era that was owned by Dean Zielinski upon the rebirth, you know. This particular 2019 model is such a great guitar. It honestly feels really good. The V-shaped neck profile is such a key element to these guitars, in my opinion, that it really makes them stand out, as well as visually standing out from the body shape, than kind of everything else, you know, that's out there. I really think Dean nailed it with adding the V-shape onto their production guitars rather than having it on certain guitars. So every Dean Select ML is going to have this neck shape, which is kind of like a premium feature that we're only able to get on certain guitars, whether they were the Dean from Hell made in China or there was the American ones that were kind of out of most people's price range. And honestly, if I'm going to go on stage and do a Pantera tribute and I want to keep my more rare guitars at home and everything like that, I would honestly maybe take one of these or maybe one of the newer ML79 and maybe kind of do it up with the proper pickups, you know, with the Seymour Duncan Dimebucker set or with the Bill Lawrence XL500, and I think that would be a fantastic thing. And one thing, this guitar is made in Indonesia, and I think it just goes without saying, if the guitar is built well, it doesn't really matter where the guitar is built. As long as it feels good and checks out, and as long as there's good quality control from the manufacturer before it gets shipped out to the dealer, and there's good quality control from the dealer before you get your hands on this guitar, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised no matter where your guitar is made. So once again, thanks for checking out this video. Consider liking if you liked the video. It really lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Consider subscribing as well if this is your first time here. If you're not subscribed, I have tons of other videos on my channel as well. Pantera content, covers, gear demos, and reviews, all that good stuff. And let me know in the comments below what kind of guitars you want to see and if you've learned something new from this video, specifically relating to maybe installing a pickup, things like that, or just general thoughts on the newer line of Dean guitars or other guitars that you maybe want to see on the channel here. I'm all for it. Thanks for checking this out, and I will see you next time.